These two guys have Minnesota sports flowing in their veins. Mackey and Judd on SKOR North and SKORNorth.com.
These guys are playing hard. I mean, maybe it's not every possession. Maybe it doesn't look like it every possession, with some of our defensive mistakes. But I absolutely don't feel that anybody is not getting effort out there. It's hard if you don't believe in it. And I believe in it. Gerson believes in it. So that's why you focus on. And hey, I get it. Losses, when they do stack up, it hurts. It hurts. We're all competitors here.
Listen, you negative Nancys are going to focus on the fact that the Timberwolves were down by 30-plus points in the third quarter last night against the Portland Trailblazers.
I subjected myself to that.
Hey, they were up by 4 minutes in.
I subjected myself to that entire game, and I don't know exactly why.
That's fine. And you can be negative. I'm focusing on the positive and also focusing on being right, because our mutual friend, Jace Frederick from the Pioneer Press, tweeted out last night during that game, Ed Davis is the Wolves' best screener right now, and it's not remotely close. I'm telling you, the magic straw that stirs the drink, Ed Davis setting perfect screens up and down. These guys need to come off those screens better. Make some more shots. Ed Davis is a legendary screener.
Just because I sent you a text halfway through the game last night that said Ed Davis stinks doesn't mean that we have to talk about his ability to screen. Yeah, let me just say this again. I understand losses because, teams, especially teams that aren't great and don't have their star player, lose games. But when you are trailing by 31 points in the third quarter and Portland removes all of their starters and you make a run and poor Dave Benz has to talk about, hey, the Timberwolves are making a run here, and they're doing it against the junior varsity of the Portland Trailblazers, that is somewhat disturbing. What is it about basketball teams in this town of late that when they lose, i.e. the Gophers on the road, right? Like, I get it. Lose by 5. Stuff happens. It's life. But your you get dusted by the Lakers. I sort of get that one, right? The Clippers, okay, that's, I get the loss, but I don't get the fact. And then you lose back-to-back games to Denver and talk about, hey, we lost, but it's closer. I mean, it's looking good. And you go to Portland and get absolutely drilled.
I'm going to go on a limb here. And, D'Angelo Russell last week was talking about how, listen, it's before you can win. And by the way, this is D'Angelo Russell. This is a guy who has a ton of experience winning at the highest levels of the NBA so far. D'Angelo Russell said, before you have to worry about winning and before you can, go down that path, you got to learn how to lose the right way. Well, I'm going to go on a limb and say last night was not exactly the manuscript for how to lose properly in the NBA.
And what he said and what you just said gave me an idea last night as I rued my decision to keep Xfinity and Fox Sports North, okay? Here's my idea.
I was $300 cable bill.
I was
why don't you shut
thrilled last night.
Why don't you shut up,
that
Declan?
Sinclair pulled FSN off of YouTube TV.
You should write everyone a note saying, thank you for disabling my ability to watch this crap. Okay. What the Wolves need to do is petition the National Basketball Association immediately to change the columns from W and L to WGLBL. Good loss, bad loss, okay? Because if we look at it in that light, those Denver games, there was a couple GLs.
Couple good losses.
Couple good losses. We feel good about those losses. Lakers, Clippers, Blazers, they're BLs. Bad losses. We need to have we need to have 3 categories.
Well, hockey already has that.
Yeah, I know. Yeah. That's what I'm saying. I'm a hockey guy. Dex is too.
I love you.
I'm bringing new ideas.
You lost the game, but it was tied pretty late. So you're going to get a point.
Why not?
Everybody gets one.
That's what we need here. Oh my God.
I would say, all right, I'm trying to see if there's any silver linings last night, because I was ducking in and out of some of the highlight clips. And Anthony Edwards had a posterizing dunk last night, so that was fun to watch. And Ricky Rubio had fun playing with the backups. In fact, for a while there,
I had a question about him for you.
He had double-digit assists last night, and for a while there, he was orchestrating a comeback that shaved the lead from like 30 down to like 16. So a couple of silver linings last night.
I got a question for you. Serious question. And it's disturbing, but I might be overreacting shockingly a bit. Rubio, what is your opinion when you watch him play?
He looks a lot older than the last time I watched him play in the Timberwolves uniform. And he's not that old.
That's what I'm thinking too. But
he's never been the fastest guy. But
am I missing something though that they're doing that is slowing him? I mean, he literally looks like an old man.
Yeah, he's never been like speed around Russell Westbrook energy guy, right? He's never been above the rim guy. So I don't know. It's hard to say. Like, he also has a style that's a little bit more silky smooth and slow things down. So is he doing it on purpose to just try?
That's what I'm asking
people
you.
To slow down?
If you think that there is something behind this that goes beyond the fact that he just looks old.
Yeah. I probably need to see a little bit more. I mean,
good luck. Good luck with that.
But like, he wasn't brought in.
Come to my house.
He wasn't brought in to like be the guy on the court that
I know
elevates you to the NBA Finals. He's more of like leader behind the scenes guy that's going to play 20 minutes or so.
I know.
And I think what I would be most highly concerned about here is, yes, they're playing without Karl-Anthony Towns. They were 2-0 with Karl-Anthony Towns, and like, your product is centered around Karl-Anthony Towns.
Mm-hmm.
But you can't look this bad without him. Like, he's not a 30-point difference player in the third quarter last night. So also, like, the fact that he's now out for chunks again with a wrist injury. I mean, there's questions about his durability long term. I would just say that as exciting as the first two games were, and wow, like, this team can score some points. They're actually pretty engaged on defense. Not perfect, but Karl-Anthony Towns looks great.
Yep.
You're just waiting for him to come back at this point, because they are lost without him. And in fairness, you got a bunch of new players. You're installing new things,
but you can play defense.
Well, but what I'm saying is, like, a lot of the guys that they brought in, especially like Anthony Edwards, these guys have just never played defense in the NBA before, and it's going to take you a long time to figure it out. So I'm trying to decide between how much can I tolerate from a growing pains, chemistry, building, like, you're putting together this house.
Yes.
How much can I continue to watch them build this house
Yes.
and have the ladder fall on their head? Versus what should the house look like if Karl-Anthony Towns is in it, versus what this thing needs to look like for them to actually be relevant next year or the year after that. So it's way too early to get
right now
judgy after 8 games, but it looks pretty bad.
But right now, I think that we can all tolerate GLs, but BLs we can't. The bad losses we can't. That's the thing. You can't lose by 30 points. Like, you just can't.
Well, they didn't. They only lost by 18. So I don't know what you're talking about.
Exactly. But if you look like you are engaged, I do have serious reservations about whether Ryan can do this from a human coaching standpoint of what you need to do with players. So like, I think he's got the schemes down, and I think he's probably a really solid basketball guy. But it seems like he is the player's buddy, and he's always defending them. And I get that from a media perspective, Phil. But just from a perspective of, do you have the ability to get them to take that next step? Because, I mean, this is a league full of people with egos and a lot of pride. And I think that there's a person between Ryan and Tibbs.
Well, there's a reason why most of the successful coaches in the NBA aren't in their mid-30s. Like,
right.
It's really hard, even with a put together competent veteran roster, to get what you need out of a team. He's just like, he's in the deep end, man. Mm-hmm. He is in the deep end. I've said it before. I think he is a brilliant basketball mind. I think he is going to be a head coach long term. But I also think this is a lot of water to take on when you're young and you've got all these players that you're trying to mold together for the first time. The thing that I am so Ryan Saunders definitely has a lot to prove as a coach. The thing that I am the most red flaggy about, and even though he's been putting up some good numbers, like, he was 9 of 16 last night, 26 points, he had some assists. Like, D'Angelo Russell is having some good games in the box score offensively.
Yeah.
But you're paying him max money in a salary cap league, and Karl-Anthony Towns is in this bucket too. Like, you're paying him max money to carry the team. Like, he's not just a passenger. D'Angelo Russell and Karl-Anthony Towns have to carry this team. And so when LeBron James goes out for the Lakers, they don't just lose by 30. Now, part of it's because they've got better, role players and a better system and better defensive players, et cetera. But, like, their other max player is good enough to still win you games.
Mm-hmm.
And that's the problem. Like in the NBA, if you get into the habit, and they did this with Wiggins, where, well, we're going to give a guy a max contract or we're going to trade for a guy with a max contract. Well, you got to be sure that that guy can carry you. And people are going to say, what do you mean? He scored 26 points. Like it's the other guy's fault. And yes, the other guys, the fact that Ed Davis is starting for you and like is you can literally just leave him alone offensively and you don't have to worry about anything. And the fact that Jake Layman started the first handful of games and didn't take a shot for like the first 3 games.
Because when he did, it was awful.
Right. There are role player issues for sure. And this roster is nowhere near perfect. But long term, you're going to need more defensively and offensively from the guy that you are giving max money to next to Karl-Anthony Towns. So that's something to keep an eye on.
Yeah, and when Cat is out, which has been, I think, all but 3 games that D'Lo has played for the Wolves, when Cat is out, D'Lo does not consistently look like a guy who thinks he is taking on the assignment that you're talking about. There are times when he does. But if you're like watching the Wolves play and it's D'Angelo and no Cat, it does not look like for the entire game that he is prepared to take on that role. And he
especially
gets,
defensively, he's a net.
And he also offensively, I think at times gets frustrated. And so he basically says, screw it. I'll just try and do this by myself, which can be the goal sometimes, but it can't be the goal all of the time. But I do think the one thing to keep in mind is that Ryan Saunders and a judgment of this team is going nowhere until Cat plays a substantial amount of games with D'Lo, and we see a sample size that at least can be judged accurately. And right now, we don't.
Yep. So, all right. Well, we'll keep an eye on them. And for now, I'm going to keep watching other things.
It's your club. It's your Wolves club. You should be. Yeah.
I was watch them more. I was excited to watch every minute of the Wolves, and now I'm like,
it's not legal, but you found a way to watch.
Last night, I literally so Armageddon was on my list of things because we have Action Movie Rewind today.
I hope
it's like a 9-hour movie.
I hope you reserve some time for that.
But I was kind of excited. I was like, I'm going to watch part of Armageddon, and then I'm going to watch the Wolves, and then I'm going to watch the rest of Armageddon.
Mm-hmm.
And I got to the point. I think the Wolves, they were getting into the second quarter, and I was like, all right, I'm gonna engage with the Wolves for the rest of the night. And then I was like, oh, they're already down by 20. And then Portland wound up putting up 47 points in the second quarter, and I was like, I'm going to keep watching.
How am I the guy on this show who was watching this blasted basketball team the most?
Hey, you upset Stella. I saw your tweet. You yelled at the TV.
Oh, okay. So we had a back-to-back possession, I believe, last night. I'm not joking. Jared Vanderbilt, who I actually like because he plays his ass off.
Yeah, he had a double-double last night.
And I think he stole a ball below the basket, and basically all he had to do was go up and dunk it, which is what he did.
Yeah.
The ball, I believe, hit the back of the rim and bounced off. So I remain calm because it was bad, but you know what? He tried hard. Okay. So then in like the next series, or I don't know when, the next trip down the floor, Jarrett Culver gets the ball. Same thing. All he has to do is go up, slam it. Yeah. He goes up and tries to lay the ball in. It rolls off. Yeah. And that's the point where I started screaming at the TV and Stella got pissed off. I was like, Stella, how do you miss back-to-back? I mean, they're bunnies, basically, for lack of a better term.
Yeah, they miss a lot of layups.
How do you miss layups?
Here's one for you. All right, so I've got the Wolves.
How?
I've got the Wolves stat page, the shooting stats open right now. And the Wolves, now some of this is small sample size, but
you're blind.
Field goal percentage, point blank. So 0 to 3 feet. So you're literally just like layup range, right? Ed Davis, 31% from 0 to 3 feet on the season.
Yeah.
Malik Beasley, 53%. Like, all right, come on, dude. 53%. Ricky Rubio has always been pretty bad at the rim. He's like 50% from the rim. And they missed a couple last night. So anyways, all right. Well, maybe the Wolves will get Karl-Anthony Towns back for the second half of the season, and we can actually see what this team is supposed to look like. Him and D'Lo have played 3 games together.
Yeah.
Ever.
One last
3 games together.
1 before the stoppage and then 2 this year.